Traditions here run deeper than the roots in these waters.
Our home is a cypress swamp. It's a sawgrass prairie, but we find it home.
And in this home, it's tradition to honor those who came before.
The health of our ancestors is the health of our living people.
For Tina Osceola,
when I was growing up, my grandmother wore beads like that.
Preserving the ways of her Seminole ancestors has become her life's work.
Cooking over an open fire is something that we still do today.
Now she's working to save something even more precious.
We want our ancestors back. Plain and simple.
Over the years, the remains of more than 1,000 Seminole ancestors were excavated out of their graves and taken from this land for research.
No one talked to the tribes. Some of these digs that happened more than 100 years ago were people just out digging around looking for them, and then turning them over to universities and museums.
Today, more than 1,400 ancestral remains sit inside the Smithsonian Museum.
It's so important that they come home. They belong here. This is what they fought for. This is what they lived for. They deserve to be at least buried here.
Under federal law, tribes can bring home or repatriate their ancestors and what they were buried with. But the tribe must prove to the museum the remains belong to them.
We know where they came from. We know who these ancestors are.
Dominique DeBobian has worked for the tribe since 2011.
So we never want to disturb an ancestor once they're at rest.
She's led the effort to bring the ancestors home, but it's a complicated job.
But it doesn't cover any of the 1,492.
Up until last year, the tribe could only claim remains that could be culturally identified or easily connected to the tribe. The Seminoles claimed 27 individuals.
Each individual from each location.
In 2020, the Smithsonian changed its rules to say tribes can repatriate culturally unaffiliated remains, meaning there's little known about the remains and it's harder to prove they belong to one tribe. That opened the door to bringing home more than 1,400 culturally unidentifiable ancestors, and the Seminoles want every one of these ancestors back.
All the ancestors from the state of Florida, the tribe considers to be their people, their ancestral people, and they're deeply connected to those individuals.
We have collections from throughout the world.
Hundreds of miles away, the Smithsonian says it will send those remains home.
We will work with them for a successful repatriation.
Dr. Bill Billick runs the repatriation department at the Smithsonian.
We did a repatriation in 2017 to them. We were excavating their village sites, their ancestors, without any consultation. Repatriation is a way to address some of those issues that were poorly dealt with in the past.
He's overseen thousands of items returned to tribes.
So these are actually objects that have been repatriated.
And says this is only the beginning of a wider effort.
There's been a lot of progress that's been made on repairing the damage. Relationships between museums, between anthropologists, archaeologists. There's still a long way to go.
He says he will make sure every remain the Seminole tribe is owed comes home.
It's just a question of time.
Until that time comes, he wants the tribe to know this museum is caring for the ancestors it has.
They're currently at the Museum Support Center that is humidity and climate controlled.
For the tribe, that isn't enough.
Pretty horrific to think that your ancestors, are stored on a shelf just like someone would store copy paper. What we're dealing with when it comes to the collection and treatment of our ancestors is just another example of genocide.
In time, Billick says he will prove his commitment.
I take that very seriously, that we do that right.
Now, the tribe can only hope he means it.
The people that we're trying to bring back have been silenced for a very long time. They didn't ask to be moved, to be desecrated, to sit somewhere on a shelf.
They know the process will take years, but Tina looks to the past to keep pushing forward.
They never quit. They died for us so that we could live. And what would it be like if I quit now, or that we gave up on them? Because they certainly didn't give up for us.
just as the warrior spirit of the Seminole still floats through these trees, one day she hopes that spirit will return to the earth as it belongs. For The Race, I'm Alexa Liacco.